So this is Unit 205, meeting a digital brief. The aim of the unit is to promote your understanding of the concepts and mechanisms associated with interpreting and meeting a brief, and also how to present that response. So briefs are extremely important, not only in the games industry but in a lot of different industries. It kind of sets out what it is that your client needs from you. And if you're a freelancer, you can use the brief to estimate the amount of days it's going to take in development time, and then also be able to give them a proper quote on how much the whole project is going to cost. The purpose of the unit is to provide an opportunity for you to develop a practical understanding of designing a product. So in our case, this is going to be a game level. So yes, the brief from a client or customer is what we're going to be talking about in this unit. So the brief for this unit, your client is going to be Unity Technologies, and what they'd like you to do is to make a level of a game using their 2D game kit with at least one enemy, 2 environmental hazards, 1 health pickup and 1 teleportation system. So we are going to be using something called the 2D game kit for this. It's provided by Unity, and you can download all of the assets from the asset store. What it is it gives you some pre-made things in order to be able to build your level. The purpose of this is that Unity would like to show off 2D game kit's capabilities at next year's annual Unity conference. The intended audience will be hardcore gamers and game developers who attend the conference. So as mentioned, you will want to have at least 1 enemy, if not more, in your level. 2 environmental hazards such as acid or spikes, 1 teleportation system and 1 health pickup. There's a lot in this kit, so you may want to put in more than just 1 or 2 of these things. So first of all, let's take a look at some of the best modern 2D platforming games that are around at the moment, just to kind of whet your appetite and just to get you into thinking about this genre.
Back in the day, the 2D side-scrolling platformer was king. But as technology has advanced, so have the options for presenting a game, which saw us go from 2D to 3D, and everyone's walking around with their VR headsets. But what if there is something to be said for that simple yet addictive gameplay style? What if you could make a feature of the limitation? Nowadays, the 2D side-scrolling platformer genre is alive and well, and perhaps by limiting yourself to 2D, you can really push the boat out in other ways, because we don't want games that chose 2D because of necessity, we want games that chose the 2D life. I'm Joe Hendry from What Culture Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about the 10 best modern 2D platforming games. Let's quickly go over the rules. We'll class anything that was developed within the last 10 years as modern, and we will include games that are 2.5D. Here's number 10. It's Trine 2. Trine 2 is just a really nice combination of action-packed platforming, puzzle solving, and a satisfying battle system as well. It allows you to switch between your 3 main characters, which is your wizard, thief, and knight, all of which have very different abilities and strengths, so you'll be required to switch to different characters to solve different puzzles. One thing that really stands out about Trine 2 is the presentation. There's some beautiful visuals here with some really nice music and some great sound effects as well. Number 9. Guacamelee. Guacamelee is just bold, to put it simply. It's got a graphical style unlike any other game, and to be honest, it looks like it could have been plucked straight out of Cartoon Network. It's that good, it looks like you're playing a cartoon. It's set in a non-linear open world, so you can choose which path you take, and not only that, there's a living and dead world system, and it allows you to switch between both to solve various puzzles. The combat system is also extremely satisfying with an addictive combo system, which will keep you entertained for hours upon hours. This is polished, it's fun, it's underrated, and it's one of the best. In at number 8, it's Little Big Planet 2. This is a massive improvement on the original installment, and the series lives by the motto play, create, share. Because this game isn't just about playing through the levels. No, what's perhaps more important is the ability to share your own creations with the online community, and there's been millions upon millions of levels made, so there's always something new to explore. The game was developed by Media Molecule and a small team of 25, including only 9 coders working on the game, which makes the feat even more impressive. In at number 7, it's Donkey Kong Returns. This installment of Donkey Kong comes from Retro Studios Inc., who were responsible for successfully revamping the Metroid Prime series, and much like they did with that series, they've absolutely nailed it with Donkey Kong Returns. It has all the sounds that you know and love from the original, and as for the gameplay, it's both challenging and charming in all the right places. The game allows you to use Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong together in new ways, which makes it feel fresh, but they've retained enough of the gameplay from the original game to make it feel nostalgic at the same time. In at number 6, it's Ori and the Blind Forest. Like many games you'll see on this list, the art style is absolutely beautiful, and perhaps limiting the games to 2D makes it easier to push the boundaries of the visual artwork in other ways. The gameplay is also amazing in Ori and the Blind Forest because there's lots of secret areas, there's a varied and fun combat system, and the game feels challenging with a constant vulnerability, making you feel tiny in this giant world that is the forest. In at number 5, Limbo. This is another game that looks absolutely unbelievable, but this one is different because it is dark, very dark, but it's an experience. The game is cinematic, perhaps unlike anything I've ever seen before. In this game, you wake up with no recollection of who you are, and there's no loading screens or cutscenes, so it really truly immerses you in this gameplay experience. As you try to figure out what's going on, you find out very quickly that everything in this game is out to kill you, and it leaves you with an incredible sense of alone and terror. In at number 4, Shovel Knight. This is like the Nintendo Entertainment System game that got lost in time, because Shovel Knight is all about paying homage to the golden era of 2D platforming, and it does so wonderfully. Shovel Knight is just 8-bit greatness, and whilst it's fast-paced, there's emphasis on both action-packed combat and exploration of the world. Shovel Knight can use his shovel to not only defeat enemies, but also change the environments that he's within, giving the cue for some amazing puzzle solving along the way. Throw in some epic boss fights and an authentic 8-bit soundtrack, and you've got an experience that not only takes you back in time, but also stands tall against its modern contemporaries. Number 3, Rayman Legends. Simply put, Rayman Legends is just unbelievably polished. So much effort has gone into this game. Rayman Legends is beautiful in both the way it plays and the way it looks. Every level is different to the last, with a difficulty level that builds just perfectly, making you feel like you're on this challenging but rewarding journey. Rayman Legends is unbelievably creative and detailed, and it's clear that this isn't just about capturing the nostalgia of the original, it's about catapulting the franchise to a whole new level. Number 2, Braid. On the surface, Braid looks very simple indeed. It's a 2D platformer that allows you to manipulate time to correct your mistakes. Simple, right? Well, it doesn't take long for you to realize that something just isn't quite right. Something's eerie, something's rather unsettling about Braid. And when you talk to Jonathan Blow, the lead developer behind the game, he explains why that is. He says that Braid isn't just about having fun, it's about difficult mental challenges. It's about really making you think. What's special about Braid is that it evokes these emotions that you wouldn't think possible within the realms of a 2D platformer. Not only that, it's got an unbelievable twist ending that we won't spoil for you, but you should definitely play through the game to see what happens. And finally, our number 1, Super Meat Boy. For me, Super Meat Boy is just the perfect example of everything that a 2D platformer should be. I have to think that if Super Meat Boy had been around at the same time as Mario and Sonic, we'd be celebrating this guy as the third big star. The game's immediately fun to pick up and play for the first time, but there's also lots of reasons to come back time and time again, such as beating the warp zones, the dark worlds, getting A+ grade on all the levels, collecting all the bandages. There's so much to do. It also has an insane difficulty difficulty curve, which can be enraging, but it's just so worth it when you finally get past that level that you've been stuck on. You can also build your own levels with the Super Meat Boy editor and share them with the online community. The visual presentation is simple yet effective, and at times hilarious, because every time you die you'll leave a horrific trail of your own blood, so if you fall on a blade there will be a constant reminder taunting you that you died on that section of the course. Not only that, when you finally do overcome a level that you've been stuck on for dozens or maybe even hundreds of attempts, it shows you a time lapse of every one of your attempts going through the level together, which is always fun to look back on. And if you want to find out more about the game or how it was developed, make sure you check out Indie Game the Movie, which is now on Netflix, which details the development struggles of putting together this master.
So some great games there. Let's get back to the 2D game kit. So what is it? Well, there's a lot of resources on your unit materials and resources documentation, which will take you towards the page on Unity's Learn section on their website, which will talk you through how to use the game kit. We'll also take a quick look at a tutorial in a second. Essentially, once you've got it, you start creating a new blank scene from scratch, and then you will build the terrain itself using tile sets, and you'll bring in the characters and the enemies as and when you want them, and you'll want to be testing your level constantly just to check that it's not too easy or not too hard. This tutorial will talk you through briefly how to use the 2D game kit.
Hello and welcome to another Unity tutorial. Let's make some level design using the 2D game kit from the Unity staff. First we have to download the 2D game kit. Search for 2D game kit in the Unity Asset Store, or you can just use the link in the description below. When the download is complete, we now have a new folder called 2D game kit. Okay, let's get started. Click on Kit Tools and create new scene, and let's call it first scene. Okay, I think the sky background is a little bit too small, so we will scale it up to 3.5 and 3.5. Now we're ready to do some tile painting. Open Window 2D Tile Assets. Select the material and then the brush, and now we can actually paint the whole level. Okay, let's test the new terrain. Alright, no important issues so far, but the game is way too easy. We will fix that by adding some spikes. You find them under Prefabs, Environment and Spikes. Now it's time for some bad guys. Under Prefab Enemies, we found this jumper animal, and we will just add some of these. This will be quite tough to get through, so maybe we should add a moving platform above. Use the preview position slider to adjust the X values. We could also add some more enemies. This time we go for the spitter. At the end of the level we could add a teleporter, so our character could teleport to another level. It should not be too easy to get to the teleporter, so we will add some destructible walls in front of it. Now, let's check it out. Woohoo! We made it! That was all for today. See you soon for another Unity.
So the other part of reacting to a brief is to present it to the client. So what we're going to task you with doing is making a PowerPoint presentation using Google Slides, which should have at least the following pages. So the elevator pitch, this is a kind of 2-sentence description of what it is that you're making. A Gantt chart, which shows when things are being made within your time frame. And again, you can find some stuff on the documentation about how to make a Gantt chart. Visual style, so obviously you're going to be using the 2D Game Kit's visual style. Game mechanics, which is going to be things like how your character moves and shoots, how they win, lose, you know, how they die, how they come back. And also a bit of UI, user interface. So in this case you have a health indicator in the top left. I mean, this will essentially function as your game design document, or GDD. One way of presenting your work will be recording a run-through of the level. And inside Unity there's something called the Unity Recorder, where you can actually record gameplay. So again, there's a lot of information in the documentation to show you how to do this. And what you'll end up at the end is a video which you can upload to YouTube, and it's very useful to be able to send to your client to show how you're getting on and what changes they may want to make. On the Unity Learn website there is full instructions on how to use the Unity Recorder. So you'll find everything you need in order to fill in the questions on the task sheet in the materials and resources documentation, as well as how to submit your work. So it's going to be the presentation and the video essentially. Thanks for listening.